Let's talk Bitcoin.
So welcome back to the channel. Today this video is going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to be talking about my boy Chamath Palihapitiya. And I think I might have butchered your name, but I'm sorry. In my opinion, this guy is the absolute SPAC king. The 5 top SPACs in my opinion. We have Open Door, IPOE, which is SoFi, Spartan Acquisitions, IPOC, which is Clovid Health, and in space, of course, Virgin Galactic. He continues to produce solid companies, one of the top investors from the Valley. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're not talking about SPACs. We're talking about the infamous Bitcoin. I want to show you a few clips on Bitcoin. I've had tons of requests when it comes to the crypto. Should I sell? Should I hold? Do I go all in, Tyler? I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. That's totally your opinion. I am not a financial advisor. But before we get into that content, I need you to do one thing and one thing only. Hit that sub button down below. And while you're down there, leave a thumbs up and turn the notifications on because I'm posting videos every single day for the people. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. In the first video, we have Chamath talking about how he believes on CNBC, crypto will eventually hit the $1 million marker, specifically Bitcoin. It's very interesting his take on the crypto and kind of what it's a hedge against in the economy as a whole. Really recommend you listen and get some information on it and ask down below if you have any questions and my viewpoints on it because I most definitely want to answer your questions. Also, watch how the CNBC's anchors kind of start to attack him. It's pretty interesting.
Can we talk Bitcoin? Let's talk Bitcoin. 2012, I was introduced to it. I started to accumulate. 2013, I wrote an article. And
so you're, hold on, just so we know and can feel bad about ourselves, you're accumulating it at what price?
Well, my dollar cost average is around 100 and something.
And you've held it, everything you've bought?
Well, at one point, myself and, I was introduced to it by a person. I asked him if I could disclose his name. He said no. But he, myself, and another person, all three of us relatively well known in the Valley, we started, at one point we owned almost 5% of the entire float. In 2013, we've sold, they've sold, et cetera, et cetera. I wish we had kept it all. We didn't. It's fine. But then I wrote an article and I said, you know what? There's so much asymmetric upside here. This is a thing that either goes to, at the time I said, roughly the value of gold. And at the time, it was about $100 a coin. And so there's very little downside. There's all this asymmetric upside. I said, take 1% of your net worth and buy this schmuck insurance. And it's a schmuck insurance in this kind of very elegant, beautiful way.
I missed it. I missed the schmuck insurance.
That was at $100, though. What would, I mean, I actually started hearing from people.
Bitcoin.
It is out of control. Like, look, let's
talk Bitcoin?
Let's talk Bitcoin. We've sold, they've sold, et cetera, et cetera. I wish we had kept it all. We didn't. It's fine. But then I wrote an article and I said, you know what? There's so much asymmetric upside here. This is a thing that either goes to, at the time I said, roughly the value of gold. And at the time, it was about $100 a coin. And so there's very little downside. There's all this asymmetric upside. I said, take 1% of your net worth and buy this schmuck insurance. And it's a schmuck insurance in this kind of very elegant, beautiful way.
I missed it. I missed the schmuck insurance.
That was at $100, though. What would, I mean, I actually started hearing from people that I know very well who don't often invest, who are now asking me if this is the time to invest.
Buy the schmuck insurance now.
Here's the thing. This is now a confidence game, right? There is no real utility in this. This is a fantastic, fundamental hedge and store of value against autocratic regimes and banking infrastructure that we know is corrosive to how the world needs to work properly. You cannot have central banks infinitely printing currency. You cannot have folks with, misguided and misdirected monetary and fiscal policy.
We've done okay.
You just called it a confidence game, which is a con game.
And we've done okay. The economy's built on central banks and built on fiat currencies where you said yourself how much better life is in every respect than it's ever been. And that's with that as a infrastructure.
So we've seen the first few chapters of this, and now we have to go through this great unwind, right? When all this liquidity now, what happens?
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And so all I'm saying is to have the ability to hedge that out in a way that isn't fundamentally correlated to the people and the infrastructure that made those decisions that we were not a part of fundamentally, I think is a smart thing.
But the point is, if you haven't jumped on this bus or train or whatever vehicle you want to describe it as, has it left the station?
No. So here's what I would say. The same way that I said in 2013, put 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin, I will put myself out there today. I think this thing is $100,000 a coin, probably in the next 3 to 4 years. And I think it is, in the next 20 years, $1 million a coin. So there you have it.
You're telling people to put 1% of your net worth
At the time.
That's for.
It's a lot harder.
But that's for people who have money to play with. I mean, if you're talking to an average retail investor who's looking at this, somebody who's trying to figure out, should I put it in my 401k or should I put it in Bitcoin, you would tell them what?
Well, I don't think that's the actual trade-off. In your 401k, so for example, in your IRA,
Chamath, I'm saying that there are people who have to make decisions about these things who aren't fully invested in the 401k.
So what I'm saying is I own a lot of Bitcoin in my IRA. It is possible. So I did take a small percentage and I put it in there. All I'm saying is there's a small percentage of everyone's
net worth. God bless him to do it in the most
net worth.
tax-advantaged way.
Absolutely.
But you have money to play with.
No, but what I'm saying is you could buy the S&P 500 index, buy 99% of that. So if you have $100 to invest, what I'm saying is
Put $1.
Put $1. And the reason that $1 is so valuable is that it is fundamentally not correlated to the other 99. And just on the off chance that all the people that manage the 99 may not totally know what they're doing, the $1 may actually save us all.
Okay, so that last video was actually from 2017, the end of 2017, December 12th, give or take. The next video is actually going to be from January 7th, 2021, very, very recent. It's pretty funny because most of those anchors had no hope whatsoever in Bitcoin, and everyone thought he was kind of an idiot. Chamath kind of throws a little bit of shade at the people. He still believes in the future overall of Bitcoin. He did call for a 100K push over the next 3 to 4 years. It's been roughly 2 years, 2.5, give or take since then. And now we're kind of getting into that 4th year. So who knows what's going to happen? Could we hit 100K in 2021? It's looking kind of possible. Personally, I'm not a buyer of Bitcoin anymore. I bought all the way down like at 3,000, all the way to like 10K. And then after that, I was out.
What an idiot.
Yeah, kind of an idiot. But after the second video, I'm going to give you a few of my comments regarding Bitcoin on the chart and give you the possible downsides on the crypto overall. Because there is some downsides and we have to be realistic and look at the positives and the negatives.
We don't have that much time left. Let's talk rocket ships. First, Bitcoin. That falls into that category because that's what that is. 39,000. Where's it going?
I mean, can you play the clip in 2012 and 13 when it was at 200 and everybody was laughing at me on CNBC every time I would talk about Bitcoin? Where is it going? It's probably going to 100, then 150, then 200,000. In what period? I don't know. 5 years, 10 years. But it's going there. And the reason is because every time you see all of this stuff happening, it just reminds you that, wow, our leaders are not as trustworthy and reliable as they used to be. And so just in case, we really do need to have some kind of, insurance we can keep under our pillow that gives us some access to an uncorrelated hedge. And it's going to eventually transition to something much more important. But for right now, you're just getting all these data points that prove this thing. It's just the fabric of society is frayed. And until we figure out how to make it better, it's time to just have a little schmuck insurance on the side. And everybody's running in. It's just an incredible thing. I could never have imagined it.
Good to be a schmuck, I guess, if you got...
The obvious positive of Bitcoin is that it is actually a hedge against the economy as a whole, has no fundamental viewpoint connected to it. He kind of relates it to gold in a lot of ways, and that's how most people kind of recognize and view Bitcoin as a whole. I think it actually is more than gold. I've talked about this with a few friends, family, and even college professors. It's kind of, if all else fails, we still have Bitcoin. But in the actual use of things, I don't think that we're going to be using Bitcoin every single day. Now, they are coming out with the crypto card. My boy Chamath is the one that actually got this one going, and BFT is acquiring PaySafe. And if you don't know, PaySafe will be the one registering with the crypto card. All the payment transactions through that crypto card from Coinbase will actually be going through PaySafe, which is Chamath, showing and proving how much he really believes in this industry as a whole. I mean, the guy's a diehard Bitcoin fan. Now to the negatives. I don't think Bitcoin's a buy at this moment. We're at 30K. You could start dollar cost averaging, whatever you want to add per week or per month. That's the safest route here. But honestly, I like to enter it on safer positions when we get closer to dips and stuff like that. I don't want to be buying something when it's already tripled in value. I want to wait for some sort of retracement. Now, if this gets me where I don't get to get a position on it, it is what it is. What has Bitcoin from getting that initial demand from everyday use is the consistent volatility of the actual crypto. We're seeing 25 to 30% drops in 2-3 days and then kind of wicking back up or wicking back down. When you want a currency, you want something relatively stable. Bitcoin isn't really stable, which is kind of a negative. Well, actually, that is a negative for everyday use. How Chamath describes the crypto is not for everyday use. He looks at it from a very educated standpoint, in my opinion. It is a hedge against the economy as a whole, which I think is the perfect way to view crypto. I don't think you should focus on it as It's going to get adopted, and I'm going to use it every day to buy my coffee and buy my clothes or pay my bills using crypto. That's not the way, in my opinion, to view it right now. But let's take a really quick look at the charts, and then we'll come back and close it out. So as we look at the chart, you can see we're at a pretty big resistance, but I do believe we're going to get a breakout relatively soon. This 32.1 range is a pretty big resistance. I do think we're going to get a flip above this resistance and start pushing back up. And if you look at the larger term timescale, this is actually where I'd be buying some shares if you want to get into crypto. This is where I want to buy some. You want to see us break above and then get a retest and then get a push up. But let's look at the larger timescale things. Since we got this initial 40K run, it's very interesting where we retrace to. If you follow me at all, this is essentially how I chart. I use the VWAP, my opens indicator, and then OBV. That is it. All I trade is centered around price action. This is all I use. I don't use the MACD, RSI. I think those can get you way overwhacked. And there's just too many indicators. I don't want to overcomplicate it. That's just my opinion though. So after this 42K run, you see we come down, come back up, and then we eventually get a retest of that open level. That was the best buying opportunity. I did not buy into it. Honestly, I had scared hands. And scared hands don't make money. So right here, I couldn't enter. I just didn't have the confidence in the stock. I was talking about with my friends. And this is something I'm just not confident in. I think a few of them actually ended up buying. They liked it a lot. But I'm sticking to stocks right now. That's where I'm making my money. It's treated me very well over the past few months. So I'm going to stick to what I know. So what I'm about to say is going to have the bulls very excited. I think we're going to get an initial push to the 36, 37K marker, and that's going to really tell us how we're looking on the bull side of things. If we get rejected from there pretty heavily and the volumes to die off, I think we get some more correction past that 29K marker. But if we show a little rejection and kind of start mounting it again, I think there's a high possibility we start to look for more price discovery. And price discovery always has me very bullish. Look at fuel cell, for instance. I mentioned this in my last fuel cell video that we're going to look very, very bullish. And guess what? Now we're at that price discovery phase, sitting at $23, $24. Looking pretty bullish. I wanted to use the videos just to give you an overall view and a different perspective on crypto as a whole. I think people look at it too much as an everyday use case, but the way Chamath really looks at the crypto as an overall hedge economy is a very healthy and realistic viewpoint. Also shows his education behind the crypto as well. He was ridiculed and kind of being hated on all the time for being a big investor in Bitcoin. But he's paying off now, and he still is holding and accumulating into these positions. If you actually are looking at stocks to get into relative to Bitcoin, Mara and Riot are going to be your best picks. Those have been retracing somewhat as well, and they're looking pretty bullish. I'll make a video over those in the coming days, but make sure you like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on because I'm posting videos every single day for the people. Have a good one. Namaste.